Have you heard about Social Media Uncut? It's a brand new page on Facebook that has been presented to you by Jonathan Christian. Want to learn more about independent wrestling? Want to see the ins and outs of the people who are coming up trying to make their dreams a reality, who are probably going to be the superstars of tomorrow that you see in a WWE ring? Well, head on over to Facebook and click on the Social Media Uncut page and follow it. Jonathan is a writer for theodyssey.com and provides lots of riveting stories on independent wrestling. Also, myself, Emir Costello, will be making some pretty cool videos for Social Media Uncut, and we'll see what it turns into. That's Social Media Uncut on Facebook.
These colors are worn with pride. They bring hope and leave legacies. These colors are earned, fought for with courage. Failure is not an option. The colors tell their story, and their story begins on the battleground.
The following program contains scenes of violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the RWT podcast. Good morning, everybody out there. Everybody that's a part of the RWT family. My name is Emir Costello, and this is the RWT podcast. It is early, man. Early Sunday morning. 6:30 my time. And I am tired and fighting a summer cold. Those are the worst, man. You never want to get sick during summer. So I do apologize if you hear me having to clear my throat a little bit or sniff up this ridiculous crap that's coming out of my face. But I did not want to not do the show because it's going to be a good one today, guys. So what we're going to do today, definitely going to discuss the negotiations that are going on between the Hardys and Anthem about trying to bring that broken gimmick into WWE, which will be fantastic if and when it finally goes through. Also, we're going to talk about all these WWE shows that are being canceled right now, including Talking Smack and the fact that we're not seeing much pyro anymore. What's WWE going through? Perhaps a financial crisis. We're going to get into that. But most importantly, the guest that we have for you today is going to be the man known as the Link God Daniel Crimmins. And I'm going to bring him in a moment here. And we're going to see if we can have ourselves a great conversation. Why do we call him the Link God? Because he's that guy. You want to see a match from 1923? You want to see a picture nobody else has ever seen? Whatever it is, he can track down that link and he will post it to the page for you. So I'm hoping I'm going to have a great conversation with the Link God Daniel Crimmins. And let's see what it turns into, man. So coming up next, I'll have Daniel for you. This is the RWT podcast.
Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground was where I spent most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and shooting some b-ball outside the school. When a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood, I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, "Arby's, we have the meats."
Welcome back to the RWT podcast. And as promised, I have on the line with me the man known as the Link God, Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, how you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I was telling you before we came back from the commercial break, I'm kind of fighting a cold today, so I apologize if I have to clear my throat a few times. But I'm in
Oh, no,
California.
you're good.
You're calling out of New York, right?
Yep.
What's the weather like in New York right now?
Yeah, what's happening?
What's the weather like in New York right now?
Beautiful. It's 70s, sunny, gorgeous.
That's good, man. Yeah, I think we have, same thing going on out here. In fact, when we're done recording here, I'm going to go play some tennis today, so I'm hoping the sun will come out, but it won't be too hot, you know what I'm saying?
Hopefully, we're supposed to be 80s today, but you know what? Any day when it's not raining is a good day.
I agree. Not a huge fan of the rain. By the way, speaking of the rain and some other things happening in WWE, how about we start this conversation out by jumping into a little bit of news? Time to do the news. Time to do the news. Yeah. So Roman Reigns, as you know, has been pegged as the face of the company. But are you a Roman Reigns fan, by the way?
I don't hate him. I don't like how, despite the reactions he's getting, that they're still so insistent that he's going to be the guy.
I agree, man. And the thing about that is, you can't. So in the universe, and wrestling and anything that's like that, you need things to happen organically. The universe is very stubborn.
Right.
The universe is a spoiled child. It doesn't want to be told what to do. And if a child's sitting at the dinner table with broccoli in front of them, and they say, "Hey, I don't want this broccoli," and then the parent goes, "I don't really give a shit if you want it. You're gonna eat it." And here's the thing: if you don't eat it right now, you're gonna eat it for breakfast. And if you don't eat it for breakfast, it's gonna be your lunch. And I'm gonna sit this in front of you every day until you eat it. But this is guaranteed gonna be your next meal. And even if the child was just slightly like, "Well, I just didn't like broccoli much before," then they're definitely gonna start hating it because nobody wants anything to be forced upon them.
Yeah.
So apparently, there's a report coming out of Raja.com, which is where a few of these news stories will be coming from today that I'm going to be sharing with you, saying that Roman Reigns, his merchandise sales are starting to slump. See, if you look at John Cena, people claim to not like John Cena as much or more as they didn't like Reigns, but he never stopped selling merchandise. He was always the number one guy. So Reigns' merchandise sales are starting to slump, and beyond that, when every so often WWE will send out surveys to kind of get the opinion of the universe. Well, according to these people taking the surveys, they're saying that the reasons why they're not buying tickets to house shows anymore, and the reasons why they're actually canceling their WWE Network subscriptions, is because of the company's stance on Roman Reigns. What do you think about that?
I think it's valid. I'm not saying Reigns isn't talented because he is. He wouldn't be in the WWE if he wasn't insanely talented. But, there's a big difference between John Cena and Roman Reigns. Cena, Cena, his talent is so much greater. We've seen him go. We've seen him go with like AJ Styles, Kurt Angle. The list goes on. And he's great on the mic when he needs to be. I don't know if you remember, it was maybe a year or so ago with Roman Reigns on the microphone. He can't do it on the microphone. And I think people see that as a difference. And it's. I think also when you look back at the finish to Great Balls of Fire with Reigns and Strowman. Reigns acting, like the bad guy, or that's something that a hero does. Reigns doesn't look like a hero.
I wondered if I started to wonder about that. That angle. I think it was kind of like the concept of a free sample. Hey, let's just try a little bit of this and see how everybody reacts. And I think the purpose of it was to answer the question: if Reigns does something that a heel would do, will the crowd respond in a positive way or a negative way? And maybe that was their way of trying to find out if it was time for a turn.
And I think it is. I think, when you look at this is basically the Rock all over again from years ago. I mean, they were booing the Rock pretty heavily. It's clear they wanted the Rock to be that guy. But I think what you do, you turn Roman heel. I said it the other day. I think what you do, you bring the Shield together to at least Royal Rumble. You have Triple H come out, start a chant, challenge them. You could hint that it's going to be Seth turning again, or even Dean turning again. I don't think people would expect Roman to turn because of the past feud with Triple H. You have Roman turn, you have him side with Triple H and Stephanie, and you let it run for a while, and then I think eventually people will start cheering him. But I think with Roman, it goes back. You remember the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago was the year of WrestleMania 30 when Batista came back, and people were cheering Roman hard. They didn't want Batista to win, but they were cheering Roman. I think they saw that and they thought, okay, now's the time to move. Let's move on Roman. The they did it too soon. They went all in. It wasn't a slow build for Roman. It was just too much too soon.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem too, going back to what you referenced as the Royal Rumble, was that at the time the hottest guy on the face of the planet, as pertains to wrestling, was Daniel Bryan. And so, yeah, more frustrating than trying to force Roman Reigns on the crowd is doing that while simultaneously not giving the universe what they're they're clamoring. They're like, we need Daniel Bryan to win this thing. And not only, there was one, that first Rumble, he got eliminated. I don't even remember by who. And the crowd couldn't, there's no way this guy just got eliminated. And then the following year, he didn't even get to wrestle in the Rumble. Both times, I believe, Reigns was in the finals or came out on top. But the point was it's like the crowd is saying, we are behind Daniel Bryan. This is our guy. This is our champion. And Vince is like, no, wait a minute, no. Roman Reigns is your champion. And so it hurt him doubly so. And it's same thing with Batista. Batista, he got booed. The thing was, the only thing anybody cared about at the time was Daniel Bryan. And anybody who was being pushed above him just became public enemy number one.
Exactly. I think the problem was, I think they were trying to recapture, the Batista spark, and that wasn't any fault of Batista's, because, I still think he's really good at what he does. There's an interview with him where he even said, he didn't want to come back as a good guy because he knew people would boo him. And he said, well, let him be the bad guy. But, again, it goes back to Vince and creative basically saying, no, this is what it's going to be. People will like it.
Another thing about that, too, excuse me. Okay, so with Batista, here's the problem with when guys return to the company. First of all, in a lot of ways, they're saying our current roster, even though there's 8 billion people on the roster today, nobody here is competent enough to carry the company. Nobody's getting the job done. And then so it puts them in this terrible position when it comes to bargaining, because You call a guy like Batista, and Batista knows, oh man, if you're reaching out to me, it's gotta be bad over there. You're trying to recapture some of the glory days here, and therefore I'm telling you, yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back for another run, but the only way I'm coming back is if I can do things how I want to do it. So, I want a title run. I want to fight Hunter only, and all this kind of stuff. And you get put in this position where you have to try to meet that person's demands because you want to get that old face back on, whoever it is, fill in the blank. I mean, The Rock came back and took the strap off of CM Punk. That was just ridiculous. Goldberg comes in, Goldberg takes the strap off of Kevin Owens. I mean, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's like WWE is infamous for building new talent and then using old talent to shit on them and take away everything they've ever accomplished.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Kevin Owens when he first debuted, the main roster, yeah, he had the one woman overseeing the Queen, which that was a surprise in and of itself. But my thing with that is that, in the subsequent 2 rematches, he lost to Cena. It makes no sense. I mean, how many people have gone up against Cena, like Triple H, and they end up just getting punked out? Like, it's the same thing, it doesn't matter. They have the same amount of talent, you mentioned, they don't have guys that can carry the company. I think you have someone like an AJ Styles who has shown in either New Japan or TNA. I mean, how long did AJ carry TNA? Long time.
Yeah, the entire time he was there.
And, I think, people at Triple H, I think honestly if it wasn't for Triple H, AJ Styles would have never gone into WWE. Would never happened.
And that's a thing too. Let's give Triple H his due. Everybody thinks wrestling's terrible, WWE specifically. It's like the product is bad and it's all these things. But along the way, we have gotten some things we would have never gotten before, specifically because of Triple H. And just think about how bad it would be if it was just Vince McMahon. If Triple H wasn't there, we wouldn't even have NXT. There would be no Kevin Owens as champion. Vince McMahon thought Kevin Owens was terrible. He couldn't stand his body. He wants the big, tall, muscle-bound. This is 1982, and I'm looking for the next Hulk Hogan. Without Triple H, WWE would just be completely in the dumps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the gimmicks that have been, kind of okay. Let's look at Luke Gallows, Festus.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy, man.
Yeah, there's that god-awful gimmick. There's the fake Kane gimmick. And as much as we like to shit on Triple H, he's gotten a lot done. Look at the women's division. They're at equal putting in that out. And honestly, I think some of the women out there are better than some of the guys out there.
Yeah, I think sometimes I wonder. By the way, when the women, let's say Trish Stratus or Lita, who's prominently featured on WWE programming still today, when they see the women's division and how it's like an actual division, they've got to be pissed off. What the fuck, man? Where were all these opportunities? Where? I mean, remember that time? Okay, so Lita and Trish, they main evented a Raw. It was like hell froze over. No, it was the greatest thing that ever happened because back in the Attitude Era, all the women did was mud wrestle and bras and panty matches. I mean, it would take their entrances were longer than the matches were. So sometimes I think those veterans have got to be well, it's thank God it progressed, but damn, I wish I could have did so much more if I would have had those same opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, imagine some of these women Trish, Lita, Ivory, Jacqueline. If they were out there now, I would love to see someone like Trish go against Sasha Banks, Charlotte, wrestling has come to a point where, years ago, if you would have said, a women's title match headlining WrestleMania, people would have thought, yeah, okay, that'll never happen. But now, you think, it could actually happen. And, they're actually giving it a honest chance. And we had, the first women's Hell in a Cell match. The first women's Money in the Bank match, which that's a whole nother bucket of issues right there. But, they're finally giving them a chance. Even some of the women that are coming up in NXT, and with the Mae Young Classic, honestly, it's nice to see some positive change.
And not to mention, we got that Women's Royal Rumble that's going to be happening.
I hope they do it. I really want to see it happen.
Yeah, man, that would be fantastic. So just to tie it all back in, that's the story on Reigns, that WWE is finally seeing, well, maybe he's not going to be the guy because everything is, they're starting to lose money. And so let's just jump into the next story about them losing money. We have a company at this point. Okay, so I was at Raw in Los Angeles with that bullshit LeVar Ball segment and whatever, but I noticed right away, because I was there with my kids. My daughter's 10, my son is 7. And I said, listen, guys, the show is getting ready to start. Just plug your ears, because the pyro is going to be crazy. It's the loudest thing you ever heard in your life. So the countdown is on, the opening, segment is playing, and then it's like, all right, here we go. And then they got their ears plugged, and their faces are all scrunched up because they're waiting for the explosion, and then nothing. It just goes straight into, like, I don't remember who came out first. I can't remember at this point, but Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, somebody. The show started with them, I believe. But the point was, I was like, wow, there's no pyro. Even when Brock Lesnar came out, I thought, well, he'll have his pyro for sure because he's Brock Lesnar. And then nothing. And so I asked on the page, I'm like, hey, man, does anybody else notice that seems to be an absence of pyro? And then Tony said, yeah, it's just a Raw thing. Raw's just not using pyro. But then literally the next day, the story comes out that, no, nobody's using pyro anymore. And they're saying that the reason that that's happening is because they don't feel that it enhances the entrance or adds anything to the entrance. They feel like the superstars are good enough on their own to do it without pyro. But that is bullshit because we happen to know the other Tony, let's say, Tony Gonzalez, who went to a house show in Bakersfield for SmackDown Live and can show you pictures where half the damn arena was literally empty. Like it was insane. I think WWE right now is struggling, man. And they're trying to find ways to save money. They're not using pyro, and they're canceling Talking Smack, and I'm like, what the hell is going on over there, Daniel?
Well, there's actually, I heard there's a whole other thing behind Talking Smack. I was reading reason behind that. Supposedly, Vince doesn't like the live format of it.
So it's about control, because it's like, well, if it's live and anything goes, you can't go back and like, no, why did they say that? I didn't want but I can't edit it because everybody saw it happen in real time. That's the thing?
Exactly. It's similar. It was like with Daniel Bryan and how many, referencing TNA and Ring of Honor on Talking Smack, which, you don't mention other companies on the program. You just don't do that. But getting back to them saving money, I think, what it is what they need to do is, again, have better writers, create better storylines, stop breaking up, viable tag teams. Years ago, the tag team division was garbage. Women's division was garbage. Now, the women's division is strong, but the tag division is still garbage. You broke up Enzo and Cass, which I think is going to prove to be a mistake. It's clear they're going to break up American Alpha, which I think, again, is a mistake. And I think, and I've been saying it for a while, the idea that the entrance sets, or that the stages are all the same. You know, it doesn't matter whether you watch SmackDown, Raw, or any of the, I'm not even going to call them pay-per-views anymore, the network specials. You know, everything looks the same. And I remember the old days when every stage was unique. You know, it didn't, Money in the Bank was different. You know, Hell in a Cell, different. Now, it's basically you're watching another episode of Raw or SmackDown.
That's true, man. It's just you're right about that, and that stands out too. Like when you're playing the WWE 2K games and people are creating the arenas, it reminds you that every pay-per-view had its own unique set, and now there is no uniqueness, as you're saying. Now each pay-per-view is just a graphic on the screen in the background, and so there's no more. Here's the thing too: when you go to like a pay-per-view, like when you're live and you're actually there, it's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what the set looks like. When I went to WrestleMania, I was like, I can't wait to see how everything looks. And even when you're watching a pay-per-view or a network special, as you called it, on TV, when it first comes on and the pyro's going off, the first thing you want to see is like, man, what's that set gonna look like? And you're right, man. Now it's just like, all it is it's a graphic. It's not. I mean, the pay-per-views used to have a whole theme to it. Like Roadblock would have, you know, tore up cars sitting out there, and you know, just different things like that. And they've done so much. The roster's so heavy right now. There's so much money going out. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot. I don't think there's enough money coming back in, and so they're cutting corners, man. And the product is getting very watered down.
Oh yeah, and you know, I think a lot of it, you know, you have more competition now. You know, people say, oh well, it's people don't have access to it. Well, New Japan has their app. They have New Japan World, which is actually cheaper than the WWE Network.
Yeah, and well, for what it's worth, it should be.
You have access to. You have that. You have Ring of Honor. You know, you have access to, you know, all the stuff. And you know, how many guys you see when they leave WWE? They say how they were exhibited. Let these people go. Let them do what they do best. You got guys like Gallows and Anderson. Look how watered down they are. You watch some of the stuff in Japan and at Bullet Club, and my God, you know, those guys are one of the best teams in Japan. You know, and I've been saying it for a while. They shouldn't let the club go on longer. With AJ and them, let them go. Here's an idea. Turn Finn Balor heel. Put him with the club. You know, there's no stables left in WWE. There's nothing. And, you know, I think there's the talent is there. I think, you know, you have better writers, better product. You know, it's like that line from the movie The Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. You know? And I think if you build a better product, the money's going to come back in.
Yes, and I agree, man. It was a little bit peculiar that I never like it when WWE acquires big talent and then has them literally do nothing. Like, yes, Anderson and Gallows came over, and it was like, what's going on? That's Anderson. That's Anderson and Gallows. They're from New Japan.
Yeah.
And then by the time they won the tag team titles, finally, it didn't matter anymore, man. Nobody cared.
Yeah, people gave up on them, you know, which is sad because those two are one of the greatest teams out there right now. And, you know, they got Austin Aries, which, you know, everybody knows Austin Aries has a bit of an attitude problem. But, you know, he should have never been in the cruiserweight division. They did nothing with him.
Here's
they're
the...
not doing anything. They're not doing anything with Shinsuke. You know, it's... You know, you want all these high-profile talents, and, you know, they kill it in NXT. You know, because everybody knows that that's a Triple H product. You know, want down there. And how many times, when you watch, say, a takeover event, most every match is an awesome match. Can you say that about the corresponding WWE pay-per-view?
No, you can't. In fact, it's so funny. Those guys. So if you watch a takeover and then WrestleMania is the next day, it's almost guaranteed that the takeover event is gonna be, as a whole, it's gonna be, I mean, head and shoulders above WrestleMania or whatever the pay-per-view is. And I know the guys on the main roster, I know it has to piss them off because even like today, the guys on the main roster today, those were the same guys who were making TakeOver great a few years ago before they got called up. But they get called up to the main roster and they get absolutely handcuffed. Okay, it's a different story here. Now that you're here, you can't do that flip. You can't do those moves. You can't talk like that. No. You've gone from wrestling in front of, let's say, I don't know, 300 people. I don't know how many people are at an NXT show. But if you look out, this is 75,000 people, baby. You gotta, we gotta... No, you can't do all these things. This is a different product. I mean, they literally say, if you listen to people talk, they're like, yeah, the NXT crowd is different than the WWE main roster crowd. And I'm thinking,
It is.
But my point is that it's there. Let's stop talking about NXT like it's not a WWE brand. They're making it seem like it's this whole completely different thing, and I don't know, man. I watch both. Most people I know are into both, and here's the thing. I don't think that the way, let's look at the Ascension. Let's say they were fantastic in NXT, and then so people fell in love with them. Nobody knew who the hell the Ascension were before NXT. People fall in love with them there, and then you bring a completely watered down, boring version of them to the main roster, and then you tell them, those are the breaks, kid. You didn't get over. That's too bad. Well, yeah, because all the things that I did that got me over in NXT, you didn't let me do any of those things when I got to the main roster.
Exactly. They gave them that goofy gimmick where they're insulting the legends. They were set up to fail from the start. It's. Again, going back to the whole idea of WWE losing money and creating, not knowing what they want to do, and even, to tie this in with Roman Reigns, we'll go back to him for a second. Look at the Great Balls of Fire main event. You had Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. An absolute great match. That was, and it was a great story that the fans were into. No one had ever seen anyone take it to Brock like this in a long time, It was something fresh. And I think, I don't know if it was Steve Austin that hit it on it, or Ross, or I forget who hit it at, or who hit on it. But they basically said, you have lightning in a bottle. Keep going with this. But the next night it was, that's the Brock. And sure enough, Reigns comes out. It's the same product. Whereas, with NXT and with their takeover cards, usually you see a different card, we with Bobby Roode, we've seen him defend against Roderick Strong, against, Hideo Itami. There is so much talent that just give other people a chance. Let them run with it. Let your talent show you that they can do it. And I think, that's why ultimately I think why people are tuning out because they're tired of seeing the same main event over and over and over again. How many times are we going to see Randy Orton and Janela? How many times are we going to see, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, or Roman Reigns and Lesnar? So many times. Give people, a variety. Show them that, hey, anybody can win a title. Anybody can get a chance, Look at New Day. Xavier Woods, I'd say he's probably about a good upper mid card. IC or US title. You know, you got Big E, who the charisma on that guy, he could easily be a world champion. Xavier Wood, not Xavier Wood, Kofi, you and I both know he should have been a world champion a long time ago.
I agree.
And I think you give the fans some variety. And, you know, give them a variety of stories. And let's say you got a fan who maybe hasn't watched in a year or two or a little bit. And you tell them, you know, hey, all this stuff is going on. Or, you know, so-and-so's fighting for the world title. Kofi Kingston's going up against Randy Orton for the world title. And maybe your friend was a Kofi fan and thought, hey, I'm going to give it a chance. They start watching again for a little bit. And if a little bit more, a little bit more, people will come back. And I think it's just, I think they don't want to look at that. I think they're still stuck in the old mindset of same thing over and over again.
So we got the fans tuning out, and we got, so WWE, excuse me, brother, I'm this cold is kicking my ass. WWE used to be the end-all, be-all. It was like everybody's main goal was like, I gotta make it to WWE someday. But now, what people are finding is that they're having so much more fun with the equivalent amount of success as far as like money they can make, plus they get more time off. They don't have to be on the road so much by wrestling outside of WWE. And here's the official story on Austin Aries. Then this comes straight from Raja.com. It says several different people in WWE have noted that Austin Aries was not exactly well liked by the writers or even some of the talent that he worked with in the cruiserweight division. He had a reputation of not being happy unless he was used well and pushed. And of course, that wasn't happening. Unlike some of the other talent who were just happy to have a job and get some exposure. Aries had a lot of confidence that his perceived ability warranted a much bigger role than he was in. And that's fair, man. I mean, this is a guy, this is a made man. It's not like nobody knows who Double A is. We know Austin Aries, and we know what he brings to the table. And you said it earlier here on the show, and I'm going to say it again. Don't take a guy like Austin Aries and go, well, you're a cruiserweight, because you just cut his legs off. He can't wrestle anybody but the cruiserweights. A guy who has fought all these heavyweights. I mean, it doesn't, in NXT, he was fighting heavyweights. And he had dreams of being a WWE champion, not the fucking cruiserweight champion, the actual WWE champion. And you stuck his ass in a box.
You know, for that, oh, well, he's a cruiserweight. Well, look at some of the roster, you know, Seth Rollins, cruiserweight. You know, Jericho could have been was a cruiserweight champion. You know, but it was true. Austin Aries did have an attitude. Oh, he had it in TNA. From what I heard, he burned bridges in Ring of Honor, so he's probably not gone back there. And it's sad.
It is, because he's a guy who has a tremendous amount of talent. But I guess from where I'm sitting, I blame both sides, is what I'm saying. Austin Aries, he's a terrible attitude. He's not easy to work with. But with that being said, the man has a point. You know who else was a cruiserweight? Rey fucking Mysterio was a cruiserweight. You know what else he was? WWE champion.
Yeah, he was a two-time world champion and a WWE champion for, like, I think 2 hours.
So when you're sitting here and you're saying, Daniel, that, well, I'm tired of seeing the same shit. They're putting all the same people against each other all the time. Let's mix it up. You literally will never get that on 205 Live. And that's why, by the way, you take a show like Talking Smack that everybody loves and you cancel that. Then you have a show like 205 Live that has been noted as hardly anybody watches it and it's complete repetition because there's only like, 5 guys in the cruiserweight division. But that show is not canceled. That show is like, no, we're gonna run this into the ground. We're gonna do this till we can't do it anymore. But think about the matchups that you could have if you did not limit cruiserweights to just wrestling each other. What about Rich Swann versus Seth Rollins? How about that?
Yeah. You have someone like Marvel who, before he got injured a year ago, he was coming for the IC title.
Yeah, man.
And it's, you could have them do so much. You got so much talent in the cruiserweight roster. You've got Marvel, you have Christian Perkins, who, was amazing in TNA. You could have him go up against someone like a Braun Strowman, someone like a giant killer gimmick. But when you say, oh, well, you're quarantined in this one space, and fans want more.
And the thing is, it's not that difficult to give fans what they're asking for. It's really easy, and it can be done if you do it the right way. And evidence of this, to me, is New Japan Wrestling. I've watched New Japan. Trust me, they're not storyline heavy. It's basically wrestling. But the wrestling is so good, nobody gives a fuck about a storyline. It's not like there's 2 hours of people out there cutting useless promos. It's just like pure wrestling. And they tell the story with the wrestling. And it's good, man. Like, I could watch New Japan all day. I don't even know half the guys in there. I don't know who these fucking guys are. But they're working their asses off. Yeah, it's like, the shit is so good, I don't even care what his name is. I just want to watch. You know what I mean?
Well, like, I was watching Wrestle Kingdom 11 the other day. And, I saw some names that I hadn't seen in years. For example, Scott Norton, who used to do WCW way back in the day. And it just was the same thing, it's pure wrestling. And yeah, some fans like the stories, but those are the people that are also tuning out of the WWE right now. They're the ones that aren't watching.
Yeah, man, I agree. So,
and, going back to what you were saying, how, wrestlers are finding now that they can make just as much money outside of WWE than they would if they were in it. Case in point, look at the Bullet Club, and specifically, the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson. They inked a deal with Hot Topic to sell the Bullet Club shirts. My local Hot Topic sold out of the Bullet Club shirt in 3 days.
That's crazy, man.
And, they, through their YouTube show, Being the Elite, they turned the Bullet Club into a huge brand, and it's a worldwide thing now. I mean, I guarantee you can turn on any WWE show, Raw, SmackDown, network special, whatever, and guarantee you're going to see a couple Bullet Club shirts.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. And here's another thing. And let me tell you something, Dan. This is definitely worth noting. You know why Being the Elite is such a successful YouTube show? You don't have...
It's gold.
Yeah, but beyond the fact that it's gold, the reason why it's gold is because they have 100% and total creative control. They don't have a Vince McMahon or some other schmuck above their heads going, you can't say that. No, you can't do that. No. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? They're not, because, WWE, look at Zack Ryder and some of these other guys. Look at Xavier Woods, up, down, down. It's like they start their own things and they make it great, and then WWE comes in and goes, hey, man, we noticed that you're getting some traction over here. Let us get involved. And then in most cases, they completely take it over, and then they can't. So the thing about that Being the Elite is it's completely organic. They do what they want. It's entertaining. It's awesome. It makes sense. And there is nobody to tell them, don't do it this way. Don't say that. But they just do what they know works, and it is amazing.
Exactly. I think it goes back again. Like with Kenny Omega, back in January after Wrestle Kingdom, his contract in New Japan was up, and there's rumors that he was going to go to WWE. I think he saw that, And he said, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that. And he's, he and the Young Bucks are killing it in New Japan with being the elite. The subscriber count is up there. And they're making YouTube money. They're making merchandise money. And I think it just goes to show that, with New Japan, with them trying to come into the United States, the fact that they were willing to put the first New Japan United States Championship on Kenny Omega goes to show the confidence that they have in him. And it's just let the wrestlers go. Let them do their own thing. Zack Ryder, when he had the True Long Island Story, I think is what it was called, that was entertaining. And, WWE got their fingers on it, and it's like, it just got watered down, and, Zack Ryder got that push for a little bit, and then he went nowhere.
He went nowhere.
That was a cool thing. Now it's just sort of, and watch it, subscribe to it, because, hey, he's a wrestler, and the show is not as good as it used to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too, where it's like, part of the mystique with those shows, part of what makes it cool, is that it's not attached to a big entity, where it's like, oh, no, I'm not Xavier Woods right now. I'm Austin, man. I'm just Austin doing my thing over here. And then the moment WWE gets involved, it just is not as cool anymore. Because then you know automatically, you're like, oh, shit, here these guys come. Well, that was fun while it lasted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, back then, when it first started, dude, it was mainly just him. Occasionally, you'd have, one of the guys in the back, or one of the, the women in the back, kind of playing the game with him. And that's like a one-time thing. Now it's just like, damn, every single episode, it's somebody. I'm waiting for the day where he has Vince McMahon on.
That's gonna be terrible.
It's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. They're probably gonna be playing like Paul or something.
Hey, wait, damn it, Xavier! You're supposed to let me win. You're fired.
Yeah, he probably will.
Oh man.
They could use up, down as a medium for their games. WWE 2K18. They could use it for that. Give Xavier some exclusives. Say, hey, here, why don't you tell people this? Instead, how many times? I mean, we saw with 2K17 and 16 and so on. We saw people saying, we saw leaks going on to different sites saying, hey, the game's going to have this, the game's going to have that.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
hopefully they'll get it together.
Leaking out that he was going to be the pre-order exclusive.
Right. I think the game looks like it's going to be really good this year. Thank you for those videos, man, that you've been posting. As a matter of fact, I said you didn't hear the introduction. Like normally before I bring a guest in, I do a thing beforehand and then I bring them in after the fact. But when I was talking you up, I was making it clear that there's a reason why I call you the Link God. Because I'm telling you, man, you have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt you can get your hands on anything that anybody needs to see. You're going to post that link up, and then everybody's going to be informed and be better off for it. So thank you for that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. You can find, any wrestling release, you just got to look for it. And everyone automatically always thinks, oh, YouTube. Not necessarily. And it's with 2K18, I think that game has a lot of potential. I guess there's some new online thing that I think it's called like Road to Glory or something. I don't know how that's all going to play out. I myself am not really into, the online playing aspect. Just not something I'm into, but I think for people that are, it could be cool.
I agree, man. In fact, I want to ask you now, when the game comes out and after you've had a chance to play it, I want you to come back on the show so you can be the one to do the review for the game. Would you do that?
Oh, I'd be more than happy to. And one of my gripes, to go on to gripe about 2K17, you start with like a lot of like the upper titles, like the IC title especially. You would advance, through the ranks pretty quickly, but then once you got to like rank 4, it took forever. It would take moments, in the game to get to in number 3 or number 2, and even at number 4, you couldn't challenge the champion and get a title shot.
I don't know, man. It sounds like reality to me.
Come up with something better.
That sounds like real life. I mean, think about it. It speaks to your point of like, how many more times are we going to see Dean Ambrose face The Miz for that Intercontinental Championship? Meanwhile, number 4 in line is going, Jesus Christ, man, pay-per-view after pay-per-view. If I could even get a match against The Miz while that strap is on him, that'd be nice.
Yeah, like I was playing it, and I was going into it with my guy, and I was in the world title rankings. I must have had like 6 or 7 in-game months, where I was stuck at number 4, and finally, I got up to rank number 3, was able to challenge Brock Lesnar, and got that win. But it's the same thing, like it's. Work on that, have more options with the career mode. To where it's just, you can, say, interact with superstars backstage and form tag teams that way. And the promo thing was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool addition with 17. Expand on it.
I thought the promo thing, when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be better than what it was. My problem with the promo thing, don't put a timer on me. I need a chance to read through the options and choose which one I would actually say, and I'm panicking because the timer's going so fast, and I just choose some, and then I hate when the crowd, when the bar goes down because the crowd didn't really respond that well to my line. I'm like, God damn it.
Exactly, and part of it, what I would love to see happen, I would love to see it be a little easier, say, to turn heel or to turn face. It's like if you're a heel, like I am, and your heel meter all the way full, and let's say you want to make a change, it's almost impossible. To you really got to chip away, and you got to do the right things in the match, and otherwise, you're still going to be a heel.
Yeah, exactly. I that's the part I want to be more interactive. When a guy's like, where it's like cheer or boo, I want it to say face or heel, and if I'm a heel on the game, if I start doing a bunch of heel shit, I want it to make a difference. I want it to matter, But I don't know, man. They're doing, it's getting better. It's definitely getting better, and I appreciate what they're doing because I'm a guy who owns a PS4, an Xbox One, 2 PlayStation 3s, a Nintendo 3DS, and that vintage NES system that they released. And I'm telling you, and I have a shit ton of games for all those systems. I mean, even like Crash Bandicoot. I bought that one that just came out a few weeks ago. I haven't even opened it. I got it the night it came out, and so because I just can't stop playing that WWE game. That's what stays in. I have a bunch of games on my Xbox One I haven't even opened, and I've had it since Christmas. It's like a few months here, it'll be a year, and there's games I haven't even touched because I can't stop playing WWE, man. That's where the heart is,
Yeah, I mean, it's got. There have been WWE games in the past where I stopped playing. There's no replay value, but they're getting it. I think 2K17 was a step in the right direction. And it's, with the roster, they've got so many people that they can put in the game. They've got the cruiserweights, they've got all this and all that. I don't know if they'll bring in any of the UK guys. I'd like to see it happen, but who knows?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. Who knows? Because they haven't really been featured that prominently on WWE TV. But listen, we're
Most of the time, the UK champion, Pete Dunne, who's defended the title, in independence overseas in the UK. What I'd like to see happen is, next time they do a Raw or SmackDown in the United Kingdom, have them defend the title on that corresponding show.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? UK is gonna have their own weekly show. Whatever happened to that shit?
I'm talking about they taped a couple episodes, but they're not sure when it's going to air. I'd love to see it happen. They've got WWE offices in the UK. So, for me, what I would love to see happen, I would love to see them have the UK have a weekly UK show. They could easily do it. Have a special commentary team in the UK and do it that way. You wouldn't have to have a huge arena, like the O2. You could have, use the arena where they shot the UK tournament special.
But they had it, though. They had Nigel McGuinness. He was all lined up for it. But here's the thing. I think the failure of 205 Live changed their mind. It's just like, we can't make this one show work, so what are we going to do? Go out and start another show? Because it would be the exact same format. It just would use UK wrestlers instead of cruiserweights in America. So I just think they've got to work some of the kinks out. But hey, listen, man, let's do one more news story before we get out of here. Straight from Raja.com, and I'm doing this with you because I feel like I've heard you talk about this more than anybody since the inception of the page. Check this out. According to the story on the Hardy situation with Anthem Sports, the two sides were indeed close to an agreement within the last month, with the Hardys apparently paying $10,000 to $15,000 for the rights to the trademark. The deal would also include the non-disparagement clause that Reby Hardy referred to, and it would be in the amount of $1,000 for the first offense and $5,000 for every offense thereafter. The Hardys were also going to be signing off on a press release ending the entire fiasco on a positive. However, once those terms were agreed to, Anthem Sports then wanted 50% of all the revenue generated by the Hardys, including that of Jeff's art and music, something which the Hardys thought was a monumental heist and a money grab. So they're saying, look, you want this broken gimmick, you're going to pay us $15,000 for it. And if you say anything bad about us on TV, we're going to fine you $1,000 the first time, $5,000 thereafter. Plus, we want to own half of your fucking soul, your music, your art, shit that has nothing to do with the broken gimmick. We just want to make money off you. And if you want it that bad, you're going to give us what we want. And my man, Daniel, I've not seen a bigger supporter of Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero than you. Please tell me your thoughts on this.
Okay, honestly, I for one, the whole disparagement clause, I think it's hilarious. I think, the whole Reby Hardy thing, I think there is no more devoted of a wife in the wrestling business than her. But, it's the whole, Anthem wanting all this stuff from the Hardys. I think it's ridiculous. I think at this point, it's childish, From what I've heard, it was a good deal. Both sides were okay with it, and when it went to the president of Anthem Sports, he just wouldn't sign off on it. And that's when he countered with, the 50% of the merchandise. And I don't think the Hardys should sign off on it, and they're not. I think it's going to end up going to court. It came out a while ago that the WWE said, listen, we'll support you guys however we can. We just don't want to get involved in this.
By the way, how hilarious is it that there's a no disparagement clause. Like basically, we don't want you talking shit about us. But wait, isn't Anthem Sports or TNA or whatever the fuck they call themselves these days, GFC, this is the same company that puts a microphone in the hand of Alberto Del Loser every week so he can just go off on WWE. And not only him, but back in the day, Ken Anderson and every other WWE wrestler who got released and ended up in TNA gets time on the microphone specifically to disparage the WWE. So you can dish it, but you can't take it? Is that it?
Exactly. As the disparagement clause wasn't so much about, Matt and Jeff, as it was about Matt's wife.
Okay, I see.
I've been following this whole, the whole thing on Twitter, and she, every day it seems, she's got something to say about it, and, it's like you said, it's the same thing, they've had people go off on WWE on whatever programming, and they're okay with that, but at this, I guess they're GFW now, they're trying to recapture TNA's glory days, by bringing in Zeb Coulter, or Dutch Mantle, whatever you want to call him, and bringing in Jeff Jarrett, thinking, that's going to recapture the golden days. It is. What made TNA great in the golden days was Samoa Joe, Andrew Styles, people like that. But this whole broken gimmick business, if there was a deal in place, why not just sign it? I think the reason he did, I think it's personal for him. I think egos are getting in the way. I think if they take this to court, I think what will happen is, if he asks for 50% of any merchandise, I don't think it'll go through. I think, the thing you should do is, Anthem should ask for the right to any old material. So, they've got the final deletion, they've got Deleter Decay, the Great War, total non-stop deletion. So, let's say the broken gimmick takes off in WWE, which it will. They can come back and release a DVD saying, this is where you start. But by them digging in their heels, I honestly think they are damaging their reputation. It's making GFW look worse than it already is. And you want to talk about a bad press, they have had a horrible week. It's the business with Alberto El Patron, and whatever happened with him is his business. But, every week he says something about WWE. They let it happen. When you see something like that in WWE, if WWE signed Bobby Lashley back, do you think they would let him trash talk TNA?
Absolutely not. They're not even going to mention their name.
No, if you even did it once, they'd say, don't do that again, or we're going to have problems.
Even when John Cena... John Cena is arguably the most popular WWE superstar in the history of the company. I hate saying shit like that. Anyways, even when he referenced TNA the one time that he did on TV, he used a Hulk Hogan gimmick to reference like, you're gonna, just so you know, if I can't do what I want to do here, there's other places I can go do it, brother, if you catch my drift. And it's like, even John Cena won't mention TNA by name on TV. So yeah, hell no, they're not gonna let somebody come out there and talk about TNA, because in the mind of the hardcore wrestling fan, if you hear the word TNA, then you probably think, maybe I'll go watch TNA and see if they're gonna respond to this. So no, they would never do that. It's not smart.
Yeah, and it's this whole broken gimmick. The fans want to see it. I think it's one of those things. It's like when a relationship ends. The one person's clearly over it, but you got that one part of the relationship that they're salty, they're sour about it, so they think, oh well, I'm just gonna ruin that, try and ruin that person's life, and I really think that's what TNA management is doing. And supposedly, the Hardys have all this information on TNA. Well, and I know they don't want to go to court, but honestly, I say either go to court or release the information. Make this a public relations war, which it kind of already is.
Well, unfortunately, when you have secret information and that's your only leverage, if you release it, then that's it. You're not going to ever get what you want out of the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, so I think they're holding on to that information because if at the absolute last moment, GFW goes, well, we're just not going to do what you want, and then it's clear to the Hardys that they're never going to get to do the broken gimmick at WWE, then it's like, okay, then you ask for this. But unless it's come down to that, they got to hold on to it, because without that, they got no leverage. They got no reason to even have GFW at the table to talk. And I also agree with you about the fact that it's like, hey, GFW, Anthem, whoever you guys are, this was supposed to be your clean slate. This was supposed to be your new start. And unfortunately, you're dragging your feet with this Hardys thing, which means that the TNA brand is continuously being brought up, and you just want to forget it. But nothing changed. The name changed, but the attitudes didn't change, and the mentalities and the gimmicks didn't change. And so, unfortunately, it's like if somebody said, we're not going to call it shit anymore. We're going to call it sludge, which is a real thing. But everybody knows that sludge is still shit, and that's what GFW is. It's still TNA, and it's still shit, man.
Yeah. It's the old saying, a rose by any other name is still a rose.
That's right.
You put a pig in a dress, it's still a pig. And I think what TNA or GFW needs to do, sell off this broken gimmick to the Hardys, let them have it for whatever price it's going to take, and then focus on rebuilding the company. Because ultimately, what is going to make them successful, the WWE successful, all these other companies successful is competition. I remember growing up in the days of, WWE, WCW, ECW. You had options as to what you could watch on TV. And that's what as fans, what we're asking for, what we want to see. We want to see, we want the ability to be able to say, hey, I don't feel like watching WWE this week. I want to go watch TNA, and focus on writing a quality show. And TNA has some insanely talented wrestlers. They got a lot of talent, but their writing is just so horrible. And I've tried watching it, and I can't do it.
I can't do it either, man. You're right. It is terrible, and I tried to watch it because back in the day I refused to watch WCW because I was a WWF guy. And then looking back on some of the clips, now that it's on the network, I realized I missed out on a lot of good stuff. So as an adult, I said, I'm not going to do that again. Maybe I'll see. But TNA, anytime I watched it, it was terrible. And I think it's just going to be that way for the foreseeable future. But listen, Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man, and sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate you, brother.
All you want, anytime.
So we'll have you back on for sure in October after you've had a chance to kind of sink your teeth into the game, WWE 2K18. And I don't know, man, we're in July. Maybe I'll have you back on again before then for some other reason, but for sure you're going to be doing our game review for 2K18. Oh, yeah. So I look forward to that, man. Any final thoughts?
I think as far as wrestling goes, I think we are headed towards the boom period.
All right, man. So, again,
I feel like it's sad.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure, man. You're You're a great guy, man. You got a lot to talk about, a lot of fresh ideas, and I appreciate it, man. And I look forward to speaking with you again.
Oh, yeah, anytime, anytime.
All right, brother. You have a good day.
You too, my man.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. That was my conversation with the Link God Daniel Crimmins, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed that. That guy is very he articulates himself well, and he's got a lot of great things to say. Also, check him out on PlayStation and Xbox One. I'm sure if you hit him up, he'll give you his gamer tag. Just like the Belt God Eric, Daniel Crimmins creates a lot of great titles and arenas and some other cool stuff he has going on. So go check him out and download his stuff because it is top notch, top of the line, top quality. Last things last, of course, Daniel Crimmins forgot to mention that today, July the 16th, is the birthday of the Link God. Happy birthday, Daniel Crimmins, and thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm Emir Black Bane Costello, and I will catch you down the road.